So with no further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to today's platform, Miss C Lynn Williams, better known as MsparentGuru. Welcome.
Hi, how are you? How are you?
So I have been trying to sit down with you forever. So thank you so much for taking time out. I know that you are, during these times, that you are moving around quite a bit. We're going to get into that. Talk to us a little bit. How have you handled kind of everything that's going on, kind of sitting? Have you been writing? What have you been doing? What have you been up to?
It's been an interesting period. I like to tell people that 2020 is a growth time, internal growth. And so I've been taking my own advice and writing my blogs, talking to parents through Zoom calls, really thinking about who I am as a human being, because that's what we're looking at right now.
Wow. Mother of four, there's some balance. I know that for us, you are MsparentGuru, and so you find yourself taking care of other folks and so forth. What does it look like right now with your own kids? How are you guys kind of communicating and staying in contact with one another?
That's a great question, Allen. So what I have been doing, my children are adults and they live in different locations. And so in order to do the same things that I'm suggesting to other parents, for me, it's been Zoom calls. Like one Sunday we cooked together via Zoom, which was so much fun. It was just amazing. We all talked about what we're going to cook. We're not going to cook the same things. We got on the call. We showed each other what was cooking, and we just communicated, and we were together. And that was the best we could do because we're all under quarantine, right?
That's wild, because I'm going to tell you right now, I've been on some Zoom calls with my brothers and sisters, and I'm going to shamelessly steal that idea, if you don't mind. We're going to all barbecue.
Absolutely.
And so, no, I appreciate that. As we go through, and we've already, they understand your bio. We'll talk about some of your creations. But one of the things that stood out to me, C Lynn, was transformational author. You're labeled as a transformational author. Tell our audience what that means.
That's transformation. When I think of transformation, I think of change. And I was a very shy, quiet, like behind the scenes kind of person. I like to work best behind the scenes. And when I started writing, it pushed me out. It made me talk about my stories. It made me talk about my family, as I talked about other families and how we could communicate together. And that transforms you. It made me think about, oh my God, do I really want to tell this to the public? Because it will change lives. And so not only is telling the story helped me talk to parents and people in general, but it's changed my life as well.
Excellent. You talk about, right, because I've studied you now maybe for about 3 years, maybe 4 years, really understanding some of your writing. You talk about there was a culture that was suppressed from a child's perspective of their individuality. Was that more of a personal journey, or is that what you saw kind of as you grew up and you were writing and you were teaching in the schools, the high schools and colleges?
You know what? It was a generation. I grew up in a generation where you were seen and not heard, and that was what we were told, whether it was our parents, my grandparents. If I butt into a conversation and I was a kid, you got the look first, and if you remember the look, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Who are you talking to? Nobody's talking to you right now. Or if you didn't get it with that, then they would say, kids are seen and not heard, period. Like, shut up. And what it does is, it was some serious discipline during that time, but what it did was, I felt like it muted a lot of humans, who could have been future, whatever, CEOs, president, whatever you wanted to be as a human, as a goal. You didn't have the voice because you never learned how to use that voice. And so that's one of the things that I talk about with parenting is, that young child that you have, don't shut them up. Let them talk. What are they saying? Encourage them. If it doesn't make a lot of sense, help them steer that conversation, but at least let them have the conversation.
It's right. So it's like we're interviewing one. You say that we were muted. I hear comedians referencing to it. It was a form of respect. Yeah. It was a form of not necessarily talking when adults were talking. There was a time and a place. And so let's fast forward to now, the 21st century, where everyone has a voice. Everyone has a platform. Do you see a dramatic difference in the outcome, right? Maybe during that time, there wasn't a huge voice from a child. Now we're giving everyone such a huge voice. Is there any negative in giving that larger stage?
So here's the dilemma. So how much of a voice do you give your child before it's disrespectful? That's first. And then second of all, there are so many cultures that we engage with every day because we're across the world and internet and everything, that if you're not listening to that child of yours, whatever their age is, and I'll say anytime that they can start looking on the computer and up,
okay,
who else are they talking to? So it's really important to have dinner time together and talk. Open the floor. You may not like what you hear, but at least you hear it. Right? Am I right?
Yes.
Please don't tell me that again. But you don't want to say that because you really do want them to empty out. And you want to give them a chance to critically think through, because what's going on right now, in some cases, and I won't be political here, is that there are some non-critical thinkers. Would you agree with me?
Yeah. Really reactionary.
Reaction. Right.
Followers.
Yes.
Yep. So former high school teacher.
Yes.
Former college professor. How was that? 12 years?
I'm still teaching at the college level, community college. Yes. So I kind of tripped into the high school teaching. I had been furloughed from a corporate job where I did work with technology. That's been my work for a long time. And it seemed to be the same summer that my son, who was living with his dad, starting to go to high school, his dad said, and I was remarried now, said, he's going to stay with you for the summer. And I had no program plan for him. I'm a planner. I like everything laid out by spring break of what the kids are going to do for the summer. So now I'm scrambling, trying to figure out what am I going to do with this preteen teenager boy of mine. And somebody said, well, you're not too far from the local high school, boys high school. Why don't you see what kind of programs they have for the summer? I said, that makes sense. So when I went to check that out, they did have some programs that fit him, but they also had a technology job as an educator. And I thought, that's pretty cool. I don't know anything about, high school boys yet, not really, but the technology I knew, and I got a chance to really understand the male gender, growing up. So it was a great lead in for my Pampered Prince book as well.
Excellent. Your love for writing, I know that comes with a love for teaching. Is that something that was just, were you young? Have you been writing forever? How long have you been writing?
So the funny story about that, Kiss Allen, is that I hated writing through college, graduate school, all of that. It was like, let's get the paper done. And I never wanted to do it. And yet I had gone through a divorce, and I had moved my kids from the suburb back to the Chicagoland area. And it was weird. I mean, divorce life is weird anyway, but I got a chance to check out my daughter's friends. They had some different rules that we had. And so I started just jotting down my ideas. Like, for example, they had a bedtime. My kids had a bedtime. Their friends didn't necessarily. So I'd say, hey, time to go home. Bye. And so, it was a lot of dialogue in our house. Why do you talk to people like that? Why are you telling my friends they have to go home? Because they do. So it just really opened me up for the difference between what I grew up under, what I was raising my children up under, and what I was watching happen.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. I've noticed, and once again, the interesting part is where we talk to the most interesting people in and throughout our community about the most interesting things. Today's guest, Miss Parent Guru herself, Miss C Lynn, is our special guest. She's dropping gems, dropping nuggets. Y'all tune in. We're gonna tell you where you can get her books in a sec. You talk about your truth throughout your writings and even today. Why do you think it's tough for individuals to get in front of their truth? It is extremely clear that you speak from truth in all your writings and even today. Why is it important to get in front of our truth?
That's a great question. The main reason is because you're dealing with the next generation. If it were just adults, we could hide behind whoever we thought we were. But when you start dealing with young people, the lives that are being groomed, what you want them to turn out as, you got to be honest. They see through it anyway. They know when we're not telling the truth. And it's a great time to be authentic. I believe in, I think I just wrote it today. I said, if you had a story, let's say that, you were a young mom, maybe you had a child at 16 and gave it away. So your children don't even know that part of you. Or maybe you had a situation with drugs or something that you don't consider positive. I always say, figure out a way to have the conversation, because what it does is it heals you, but it also gives your children another part of you that bonds you guys together in a way that when you're not honest like that, it doesn't.
You know what? I don't want to get all emotional here, but I think that's exactly what we need right now, right? Just some truth serum. If someone could come up and put it in a Coca-Cola or something, and it's just had you out here telling the truth, I think that there'd be some different directions and so forth that people would take. We're going to go into your Miss Parent Guru, but I want to go down the line. As an author, you have written 5 books. Trying to Stay Sane While Raising Your Teen, The Pampered Prince, Moms Create a Great Relationship with Their Son, Raising Your Daughter Through the Joys, Tears, and Hormones. I love that title. Doors and Minds, A Winning Blended Family Formula. And then finally, Daddies and Daughter Thoughts, A Dad's Guides to Daughters. 5 books. I'm honored. Daddies and Daughter Thoughts, A Dad's Guides to Daughter. I had an opportunity to sit in on your panel. You had a wonderful panel where there were dads and daughters. It was incredible content and a real open, transparent space. But also you gave me an opportunity to kind of talk about my daughter and I through the book. Throughout those 5 times, which one of those books, I'm not gonna ask you is your favorite, like is your baby, but did you have the most fun writing or brought up the most, maybe not necessarily pain, but stretch you the most? Which one can you reference to?
It's funny. So when I hear that, when somebody asks me that on an interview, I think about The Pampered Prince, and probably because I have 2 sons. My youngest is my biological son, and he was the one that was most difficult throughout his growing up period. And so I think we had a lot of change during that time, and he's not the same gender as me, clearly. So we had issues. And so writing that book was transformational. I mean, I was learning as I was writing it. I couldn't even believe I was saying some of the things I was saying in it. And yet I'd have women come back and say, I don't know how you were able to tell that part of the story, because that's my story. So that was, I had a lot of tears in that book, actually. I thought about my brother. I thought about my mom and my brother relationship and how difficult it was for her. She, was a divorced mom as well. And he, sons wrap their fingers around you in ways that just like daughters do with their dads. So it was really that book, I think, I don't want to say it's my favorite, but it pulled a lot out of me.
Pulled a lot. I reference back to the opportunity I had to sit, and it was emotional. As we shared some of the stories, and in particular when you hear the children talk, and share some of their thoughts, whether they were highs or not necessarily, opportunities for dads. It was incredible. That leads me to another question.
Well, I just wanted to say one more thing though.
Please.
So right behind the Pampered Prince is Daddy and Daughter Thoughts, because I lost my dad in 2016, and I wasn't even going to write a book with dads and daughters. And my husband was like, you got to write that book, got to write your dad series. And so we argued back and forth about it, but it was also, a very challenging time, to just bring back some, the way I saw him and the way I talked about him in the book were almost very different. And so I learned some stuff about things that I had hidden, some thoughts that I had hidden, some reflections that had way down below. Nobody had ever knew about them, not even me. I had locked them.
So we're gonna give our audience an opportunity to know where to find your books. I'll make sure that they're listed in your bio. But what is it when you write? Obviously, you're sharing your thoughts and you're sharing your relationships. As you go and you tour, what are some of the reactions, right? Because I can imagine you just talked about what it took for you to write it, where you had to go. When I read, the Daddy-Daughter series, it took me places, right? In listening to this relationship, what are some of the reactions you get from your readers?
I get a lot. The biggest reaction is, I don't know how you wrote exactly what I'm going through. I hear that a lot. And that's amazing to me, because when I start writing, it's kind of weird, but I'll hear the chapter, I'll hear the name of the book as I'm waking up sometimes, or I'll be in a environment and some of the titles of the chapters will come in. It's very spiritual. I know God is talking about it, but it's also kind of weird, to be honest. And if I don't argue, if I don't fight it, then it just kind of descends on me. So to have people respond in positive ways, or to cry. I've literally met with people in there crying about certain parts of the book. And so it's really kind of cool and scary at the same time.
Powerful. I want to get to that point one day, and I know we've talked about it. Once again, C Lynn Williams, MsparentGuru, here with us today. The interesting part is where we talk to the most interesting people about the most interesting things. This is Powered by Esteemed Ambassadors. Excellent conversation. I think that one of the things that come out, right, it's a very reflective interview. These books allow you to reflect. And we're in a state of change. And there is no normal. And I think this is a great opportunity, right, where people can go look these titles up and have some fun, order them. If you can, take a second to tell people where they can get your books.
Oh, sure. You can reach out to Amazon. Google Books has them. Feel free. They're in two different formats. So they're in the paper format as well as the ebook format. Or you can go to my website and I'll send them to you with the signature. C Lynn, CLYNN, Williams with an S.com.
Excellent, excellent. All right. This is the fun part. Right before we finish up here, thank you again so much. But this is the fun part. We call it rapid fire.
Okay.
I'm going to throw a couple of words at you, and I just need you to say the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Just bam, okay? All right. The first word is education.
Think.
Innovation.
Inspired.
Money.
Lots of it.
Okay. Okay. You inspire to think about lots of money. Community.
Trust, hope, sharing. I'm sorry, there's not one word for me for community.
I appreciate that. I think hope, the word hope is sometimes underutilized. I don't think, I don't think we really understand the magnitude of people having hope. So I appreciate you using that word. Excellence.
Daily commitment.
Daily commitment. And then finally, well, no, I have two more. Integrity.
Oh gosh. Honor, honesty, authenticity.
Authenticity. And then finally, family.
Oh. You know how you do it? I don't even know how to make the sign. Why do you make the sign? Like
The heart.
The heart, yeah.
MsparentGuru, I think that you and I have worked together. You do an excellent job with both students as well as parents. I've really seen you dig in and be transformational with parents in and throughout CPS. As we end here today, is there anything that perhaps you wanted to talk about that maybe I didn't hit on or I didn't ask?
The one thing that I'd like to just share briefly is, as people are coming out of the quarantine, use this time, don't rush it, spend as much time as you can with your family and your kids, learn some new things about each other, and just be patient through the process.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much once again. The interesting part is we got another hit on our hands. Please rush to Amazon, get these books. Let's go over them again. Trying to Stay Sane While Raising Your Teen, The Pampered Prince, Moms Create a Great Relationship with Your Son, which C Lynn has deemed one of her more powerful writings, Raising Your Daughter Through Joy, Tears, and Hormones, Yours and Mine, A Winning Blended Family Formula, and finally, Daddies and Daughters Thoughts, A Dad's Guides to Daughters. Absolutely. Those are the 5 titles. You can find them on Amazon. I searched C Lynn Williams. They all came right up. Excellent reads, powerful reads. Imparting here. What do you want readers to take away as they read through your material?
This is just the beginning of a journey, and the journey doesn't end until we're done. So leave something, take something, but leave something behind that is powerful, that is meaningful, and share as much love as you can.
The interesting part is, my name is C Lynn, and I have been your host. Thank you again to today's guest, Miss C Lynn Williams, better known to some of you all as MsparentGuru. Thank you so much for joining us today, and have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.